And we're live.
Do we
So
do we want to bring Sharm on here?
yeah, let's do it. I mean, if he's around, definitely.
I just texted him
Cool.
because he just put out like this crazy video and like freight bingo or something like that.
What's freight bingo?
Great bingo.
He literally just put it on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Can you hear my keyboard when I type, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. This keyboard's loud as hell.
Wasn't
My
that
You
mic
also,
is-
I think you're a loud typer too. You know. I think.
I do have a long keystroke.
you have one of those mechanical keyboards?
I do, yeah.
Nice.
One time I brought it like a kind of a, I don't even know what to describe this move, but I brought it to the office and people were like, okay, we're not gonna have that in here. It's so loud. It's so loud.
All right. So I just changed my VPN to New Jersey.
Is that what you have to do to get in here?
No, I just whenever I'm on Twitter and I'm not in like the VPN, I just had a VPN like a week ago on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. I bought it, but if I'm not on VPN and like on Twitter, it shows all like the things that are going on in Poland. Like, and I'm just like, there's no need for that. So here I'm gonna pull up. This we can start from this tweet right here. I really like this. What is it called? Post from Cheyenne Ali. Yeah. So honestly, like when we think about it, like we obviously want to make freight tech, better, and there's a lot of companies working on it. But when you think about it, like the telephone, like revolutionized the industry of like logistics so much. Same with obviously computers and email, but
well, people are like obsessed with like all these people are like, oh, we need to like, there's too many emails or there's too many spreadsheets or like, people are on the phone too much. It's like, dude, like that's how you get stuff done.
Yeah.
In a complex environment, that's how you get stuff done. Like the
communication is key, and the best form of communication is just talking to someone. So,
what do you think? Get to a point ever where we have like the people on the commodities exchange, like trading, like, and it basically all goes digital, or we're all going to be on phones forever?
I don't know, dude. I never.
I mean, there's a human component of being on the phone that people appreciate. I mean, I like talking to people on the phone, and being on the phone, like, not only was it quicker than getting an email response, and sure, you can make it quicker through like digital ways, but just like that human touch component of like feeling the emotion of someone's voice and actually like experiencing or like learning about someone through the voice is, I think, very important. And there might be technology that eliminates it, but at the same time, I think people will still want to have, so it's more or less where I stand.
But it is the greatest freight tech ever made, and still is. No, the Gong, of course, as well.
No, I said phone. I said phone. Yeah, phone. Okay, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Gong.
All right, what is this? What is this?
The top U.S. import trading partners. We did a piece about this in our newsletter today, but here's it's from Visual Capitalist. So the EU was the largest importer. The U.S. imported the most from the European Union in 2023, accounting for 18.5%. If you go to the next slide, Mexico's at 15.2%. Cars and motor vehicle parts are the top U.S. imports from Mexico, and I think there's a lot like Mercedes or Volkswagen, if I'm not mistaken, are in Mexico. But Ford, I think there's a lot of them.
I was actually a little bit confused about this because yes, it does say U.S. imports, so like I took it as it's coming into the U.S., right?
Exactly, it's coming into the U.S. Yeah,
and so I thought that when there was this shift that we heard about, maybe even the first time I heard about it was a couple of weeks ago, where we moved from China to Mexico, right? The whole thing about that to me was that China is a big manufacturing hub and we get a lot of our goods from there. And so we started switching over to Mexico, which would make me believe that it's more about imports than it is about US exporting somewhere. But I had that point of, I was kind of confused about that. I don't know, maybe other people are as well, but do you guys happen to know like which one really is it? What
are you talking about?
Shit. Okay, I guess that didn't even make sense.
What are you saying? These are imports, right?
That's what I'm confused about this. I think it is imports, but I thought that
it's definitely imports.
Okay.
Top U.S. import trading partners.
I'm just confused about whether we get more goods.
We take way more in than we put out.
Mexico is beating now China, and I think that was the news. That Mexico overtook China.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so
okay.
Dude, back in the 1989 and 1990s, Japan was the #1 U.S. partner for U.S. imports, and right now it's at only 4.6%, which is the 5th. I'm interested in like seeing this, like in 30 years, how this will all change. I think Mexico will keep going up. I think Mexico's economies will get better. Hopefully, they could handle more of the kind of safety concerns. If they could handle the safety concerns, like I'd be very bullish on Mexico.
Dude, I feel like everybody's bullish on Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, but the safety concerns is like one of the, I guess right now, like really holding them back with the cartels and stuff. But overall, like if they could, decrease that and keep eliminating it, then like very bullish.
If there's money to be made, well, I don't know. I mean, they're super powerful. Like and they're also smart. I wonder. Yeah, I don't know anything about the what to do about cartels in Mexico, but I feel like we'll figure it out. I
feel like you'd be the guy to clean it up.
Me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I live on a border state, man. I'm not. I don't know anything about the cartels.
Your grandparents live in Mexico.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Maybe I'll ask them.
Paul,
what's
up?
I think your camera froze, by the way.
Yeah, Paul's connection. I don't think your connection's great. You're frozen in a good. You're frozen in a good. Oh, here he goes.
He's gonna come back, I guess.
Oh wow!
I had no idea that your grandparents are in Mexico.
Yeah, they're my grandparents are expats. They live in like the middle of mainland Mexico, like in the middle of it's some like village town.
Way.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm sure they're plugged in some with some neighbors.
I don't.
Dude, all right, this guy right here.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. That was funny.
He changed his Twitter account to Tim McLeod Parody. Like he just did this like yesterday.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. Like, shout out to Tom McLeod Parody at meme_broker on Twitter.
I don't know who this is. I have no idea who this is. By the way, I don't have.
I have no idea who this is either.
As far as I know, it's not somebody in our. As far as I know, it's not it. Yeah.
I started out dreaming about my name on 53-foot dry vans as a child. Eventually, decided to build software. Dude,
What is that website? Freightmemes.com. What is that? Click on that.
You probably just bought the domain. Let's see here. All right, it doesn't seem like it exists. All it says is Freight Memes on it. Nice.
That's it.
Oh, that looks like a Notion page.
Good catch,
dude. We met Christian. We met Tom at TIA this year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, he was about to come to our presentation, and he looked at what it was, and then he just like walked away.
yeah. I think I don't know what he had something, but yeah,
Tim from Ascend was trying to get him on.
Quiet guy,
yeah, but
he's I don't know. What is he like? I mean, he looked probably 70 years old, maybe 60, 70 max, I would say. But he looked in pretty good shape. like for how he kind of appeared.
For sure.
But
Yeah,
I love
I think he's good. All right. New York might ban non-competes, which I think would be pretty cool to see. Overall, it'd be cool to see most states ban non-competes. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Yeah, it does. I think Steam Logistics is the one that started all that, to be honest. And the armchair attorney.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like a serious. It's crazy how many people are stuck, not able to do anything because of those.
20% of Americans.
I didn't realize it was so pervasive. I've actually never had one.
Did Echo not have you sign one?
No, I was a carrier rep. I don't know if they have carrier reps. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I did have one, but I never went in.
Carrier reps get forced to sign a non-compete too. It's crazy. We had a guy on the podcast, Mikhail Rosner from Miami, and so his employer, he was a carrier sales rep, and then he went to go work for another company as a carrier sales rep. His employer literally told him that like you're not allowed to contact we taught you how to be a carrier sales rep, so that's knowledge that we gave you, and you're not allowed to contact. You're not allowed to do any of he was doing over the road. You're not allowed to do any over the road for 2 years. They took him to court, and so he just kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna wait it off, and then he ended up getting into specialized freight, which was in completely OTR, and that's what he's doing now. But yeah, so you could have a non-compete, and I think it was a company based out of Texas. In Texas, I'm pretty sure businesses could do whatever they want on the contract. But yeah, so what else is there? Did I really like our podcast with Matt Silver? I've been listening to it this week.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff out of that podcast.
That was
you guys listen to it?
I haven't yet, except for the clips.
Matt's been doing a little bit of a road show recently. He was just down in Laredo with our friends at Monet and Gateco, Adrian and his brother, and he's prepping to do his launch soon, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah,
that's he's
Were you okay there? You focused?
I short circuited. Sorry. He did a good tweet. Christian, did you see his tweet about being at the hotel with his developers talking about data schemas?
No, I didn't. I missed that one.
And talking about tabs versus spaces.
Oh, the conversation to be having with all developers.
I know. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a clip real quick from
do it.
You want to just finish your thought real quick?
I don't have anything. I just was wondering if Christian saw the tweet. Go ahead.
I'm looking at it now, though.
No, but
let's get the laugh part in there.
This advice that my dad gave me way too late while I was towards the end of building Forager and asked him for some advice. Right? No, I think he'll tell you that he gave me some of this advice earlier on, but he told me that we have an identity crisis
at Forager.
Yeah, he said you guys have an identity crisis. You're a hunter and a gatherer. I'm kidding. That was a really stupid dad joke. But he said hunter gatherer, Forager.
Yeah.
No, but
next company name.
Yes. No, but so you have an identity crisis. You're trying to build a tech company and a freight brokerage at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, but you did that at Coyote. He was like, well, I had a bunch of money to do that. And I built a TMS first, and then I built a freight brokerage. You're trying to build a brokerage and a TMS. So now I think my advice, going back to my advice about not starting a freight brokerage if you can all help it. But after that, buy the software. Do not try to build your own technology. I just talked to someone that is starting his own freight brokerage right now, and he told me he's got a CTO already. And I'm like, what the hell do you need a CTO for? And he's like, because I've got to build our systems. And I'm like, what are you building? Are you just trying to build a TMS? There's so many TMSs off the shelf. He's like, no, I want to build analytics for the business so that when my salespeople come in every morning, they know what accounts to call, they know what to run through. I'm like, dude, sit down. Get your people to put a piece of paper on their desk, write down a list of leads to call, and have them call the leads. this is old school sales in this industry. You have to do it that way. If you try to just invest in these tools, you're going to never get them to work hard, and you're going to run into the same problem. And so, like I said, buy shit off the shelf. Buy stuff off the shelf. If you feel like you really need that product, go build that product, and like don't build the freight brokerage business, because if you think you need it badly enough, other brokers are going to need it too, and build those tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you could pick apart what a freight brokerage does today into 12, 20, 15, 25 different little products that people are using, right? There's so many TMSs out there. A lot of those TMSs don't do pricing. And so like, there's the guys like Green Screen that we saw at the conference today or recently that talk about, automation.
Well, yeah. So,
okay.
Pretty good clip. I mean, good podcast, honestly.
Great podcast. So, okay. If you guys had $1 billion and wanted to start a freight brokerage, would you do it like Coyote, where you build your own tech? Well, I guess in the specific order of TMS first and then freight brokerage, because it's like you can only pull it off.
Wait, if you had $1 million or $1 billion?
Well, okay, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know how much Silver started Coyote with, but it seemed like it had to be a couple $1 million at least.
Yeah, I mean, he started it in 2006, and he's also like a brilliant mind who sold American Backhaulers in '99 and knows probably more about brokerage than any human being in this world. So like, if anything, like, I mean, I wouldn't go build a TMS, especially since like that was a TMS that was built almost 20 years ago. Although it was really good. Like, I mean, he has his own TMS now called Mastery, and I know Molo uses it. I know like other companies use it too. It's very expensive, but if I had a lot of money, I'd probably just invest in like that kind of like TMS that he built. So yeah,
I don't. It's a very kind of one size fits all statement. I don't know anything about building a brokerage at all. I know nothing. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But all the big brokerages use like proprietary software, right? And that's not because they built it in the last year. It's probably because they built it over the last,
they built it a long time
years.
ago. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure UPS, one of the reasons why they paid such a premium for Coyote was because of Bazooka.
Hold on though. I rarely do I ever hear anybody say anything positive about their TMS, be it off the shelf or proprietary. I don't think.
So I've heard good things about Bazooka.
But hold on. I'm just saying now. Like I talk to a lot of mid-market brokers now, and I like they're all buying stuff off the shelf. I don't hear anybody say anything positive. And there's always this joke like friends don't let friends build a TMS. Like that's been remarked online like as of late. And I'm just like, I don't. This is not me saying anything bad about the TMSs out there because I've not used any of them, frankly. Like I've only used proprietary ones, so I don't have any experience with them. All I'm saying is that I never hear anybody say anything positive about them. So if somebody like, we need to have like a TMS positivity week because I need to actually understand like who's doing a good job because I frankly have no idea what to make of it.
So here's the thing. Okay, when I worked at Everest, we used PCS software. And I thought it was pretty good. It was just simple and easy to use. I mean, I guess it didn't have like a lot of features maybe I would want in it, but I honestly couldn't complain either. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely good TMSs out there in my opinion.
I'm sure there are. There has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
you use Echoes. What was Echoes called?
TMS.
No, they have like a couple. I mean, they stitched together a couple tools. I don't know what it's like now, but when I was there, they had stitched together because they had just acquired Command when I started, and so they were just about to stitch the systems together, and that was an interesting experience. But I really liked Echo's stuff. Like it on the surface, it's not going to win any like sexiest software award.
Yeah.
But I got people DMing me. I know what it's called. It's called Optimizer and Clutch and Stats. They have a bunch of systems. You look at it, and at first, it's not going to win any like design awards, but it's.
Sure.
I loved it. I thought it was exact. It was like a very a tool for a very specific job, and it was good at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like there's so many. The advantage to building it yourself, if you're like an established operation, is it's one thing if you start a company and you're like, okay, I'm going to be a brokerage, but I'm also going to build my own software. Like that's a lot of work because building software in and of itself is really hard, as you guys know.
Yeah.
But if you're an established business and you know how you run and you know what you need, and you've thought intelligently about this, I mean, I don't know. Like maybe it's a trap to build your own stuff, but like all these companies are still doing it. You know, like it's I don't think it's a broad statement that you could just say like never do it. You know.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about it being a competitive advantage if you can build something really good. And all these companies end up being brokerages anyway. Think about all these software companies that are literally just like veils for a brokerage, like Convoy. Like they didn't call themselves a brokerage, but at the end of the day, they were, you know, at the end of the day, they were. And maybe that's the best maybe that's just because that's the model to actually make money in this business. You know what I mean? Like to actually be like a long-standing, like profitable company, like maybe that's just the model that a lot of people end up realizing they need to go down because SaaS software is so hard to sell software, like long term.
Yeah,
there's so much competition.
Yeah,
there's so much competition.
Yeah, the brokerage model. I mean, I looked at this at my previous company as kind of like a means to an end. Whether or not there was the right or wrong decision, maybe Convoy looked at it the same way too, which was like, hey, we're gonna get a lot of users, a lot of data, basically, you know. And maybe there was some even more longer term play that they had in mind. I don't know. I have no clue. But the fact that they couldn't reach profitability.
I mean, if you're trying to like if you're trying to be both a software company and sell software and be a brokerage, that seems like a distract. Like that seems like it would be
especially in the beginning, you know, like especially in the beginning. But at the same time, like no one really wants to buy software from like a brokerage that's using that software. You know, like because then they get all your data. I mean, it's like there's that trust component for software, and it's like, well, if you're a digital brokerage and you're also selling me a TMS, like I wouldn't buy it for sure. I mean, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would think the same way. That's just like kind of shady in a way, you know?
Yeah. Actually, now that you mentioned that, the only thing that came to mind was OpenDoc. Isn't not open? Yeah, OpenDoc acquisition by, what was the company called? LoadSmart. Isn't LoadSmart also a brokerage too?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then now LoadSmart kind of owns like this scheduling system.
Yeah, but like it's not selling to brokers. That's software.
Or like a merge. What about a merge? They've got a whole bid platform that shippers are using and inviting their incumbent carriers to submit bids on it, and they're a brokerage themselves. I mean, very intelligent move on their part, and they're probably able to exploit. Maybe they like have some rules about not being able to see data. I don't know. I'm ignorant to that. Maybe they do, but you have to think that there's some advantage to that. And you have to think that the brokers who are like, oh man, like I'm logging onto a merge to do this bid, like I feel kind of weird about putting my pricing in here. People are sensitive about their pricing data, you know, like, and rightly so.
I mean, what else in a brokerage do you have that's kind of like in any way, shape, or form IP, like besides pricing? Especially if you're using off the shelf
customers. I mean, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's your understanding of a customer. It's basically just your understanding of your customers, your carriers, and like what you're paying. Like that's your competitive
your relationships.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
what else? Paul, do you have to go in 4 minutes?
Yeah, I was about to hop off.
Is it gonna quit if you leave?
No. I mean, I left for a second when I was refreshing, and it was all good.
Oh, okay, cool. Then we'll carry on.
I might have to give you access. Who wants access to the screen?
Just give it to me.
There goes Christian.
Sorry, I meant to give. Sorry. I'm gonna turn off my screen. Okay, there we go.
Reed, you got somebody that you can bring up. You were mentioning somebody in the beginning.
Oh, Sharm's at a doctor's appointment right now, so he can't. But I'll if somebody is watching this and they're desperate to come up, DM me on LinkedIn.
Put up in the comments.
Yeah, we're desperate for someone to come up here to give us.
We wish we could see like who is watching this, but unfortunately we can't.
No one's watching this, Christian.
I don't know. I mean, maybe like one person finds what we have to say.
I'm pretty sure no one. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, the Gong, like these guys, 24 million rings. We're pretty.
That's absurd.
This is absurd. Okay, tell us if you can to what a
pallet of
coffee. Okay,
what banking away? Corb's on there. That's so funny.
What mitigation have you had to go through in order to prevent spam on this platform?
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask Jake that question because he's been managing the server. I don't.
Fair enough.
Clearly, we have not mitigated everything because these guys are going up by 10 million like every week.
But still, like.
I mean, we did something where if you rang it more than I don't know how many times it was in a minute, it would reduce your score, but it's still load on the server. You know what I mean? Like anytime we're adjusting. So I don't. This has been an interesting. I don't.
An interesting experiment.
All right, Reed, hit the gong, and I'm gonna bounce. You guys,
cool. All right, what else? Either find somebody to bring up.
So I did this post on LinkedIn yesterday about G-Wagons. And
good ones.
It's like shocking how many people think I'm serious. Like I mean,
wait, just so that I don't forget, did you get access to Grok?
No, I haven't yet, dude. I didn't even realize that there was a new like an upgraded version of Twitter that I needed.
So to do it. Good. I asked it to roast me yesterday, and I almost fell off my chair.
How do I get? What do I have to do to get access?
It's a. I mean, I would at least try it for a month, but it's like I think it's $16 a month.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you're paying for ChatGPT, just like pause that one, and then just do Grok for like.
Can it do code?
I don't know that I didn't try yet, but I just asked it to roast me, and I was like, "This is insane." It takes your tweets, your last tweets that you wrote about, and just absolutely wrecks you. It's so good. I'm like almost embarrassed to share the one how I got roasted. But anyway, we'll go back to this in a bit. Just show your LinkedIn G-Wagon post.
I like.
Oh, here.
Somebody posted a screenshot of this on Facebook in like a trucker like a trucker focused group.
I just can't believe people take you seriously on LinkedIn.
I've posted this picture like 6 times too. Like this is just some picture I got on Google. Like
I know. Hey, but this one actually got like a decent, like a fair amount of people knew you were joking. Let's put it that way.
Well, it was funny because somebody sent me a screenshot of it on Facebook with all these like angry comments being like, this guy's so out of touch, like whatever. And then one comment was like, have you guys ever considered that he might be joking?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is.
But this is my favorite, like one of my favorite formats, especially coming from you. So
that's the fun of a good LinkedIn shitpost is all the people falling for it.
I cannot wait till the day where you actually get a G-Wagon and you just park it up in front of all these shippers or brokers' offices and just start taking selfies with your G-Wagon. And not in a Canva,
I mean, I like the thing about G-Wagons is they get a lot of hate, but I actually there's some like before they started getting really, really flashy, probably in the last 10 years, I thought they were pretty cool. And I kind of want to get.
Let's see the inside of one.
Of a G-Wagon?
Yeah, because like, what does the dashboard look like?
Oh, dude, now, let's look. I mean, now they're like really nice. Like, I mean, they're very nice cars. I mean, they're really expensive. I think they're
Where
like
they
over
start at
100
like
grand.
200.
No, I think they're like I actually frankly I have no idea. I haven't even looked, but like that looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it looks
Well,
like
that's an electric SUV.
yeah.
I mean, dude, but like I don't know, maybe like a 2004 G-Wagon.
Yeah,
Like I think they're like pretty sharp. That's a pretty sharp vehicle.
definitely looks like it's
I
out
like
of Moscow. That's for sure.
it's like it is a good like mobster car too.
Yeah, for sure.
They weigh a lot. You can get like a commercial. You can get it as like a commercial vehicle and write it off. Maybe we'll get the lost rate.
This is such a fitting car for you. It's like it says Reed all over it, dude.
I gotta sign some more carriers up for lost freight before I can get one, but we'll get there eventually. So if you're in the audience and you
okay, Matt Clark has sent a link to Auto Trader. Let's see. What are we looking at here?
Oh, that's probably a new one.
228,000.
Oh, look. Is this an AMG? Probably
AMG.
is.
Yeah. G.
That thing's pretty mean, dude.
Pretty mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we finance it here? Yeah, there we go. Let's do it.
Put it on the
45K down payment. I got to sell some more Fracon sponsorships, and I can get one.
Yeah. Almost there.
But anyway, no, good G-Wagon post is always it's always going to hit with the people. It resonates.
Yeah. Seems like it.
What else do we got going on?
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried anything with this Grok thing yet, but one thing that I saw that was interesting was you can ask it what's the latest in artificial intelligence, but I was thinking about it like, you know, what other questions like freight related we can ask it. I don't know if there's anything there, but let's see. What are
I mean, it has access to like
all the tweets,
real time tweets.
Yeah.
You think this is like Elon's long play? Like, I mean, it definitely is, right? Like access to all the Twitter, like shut down everyone else's access to it by making the API really expensive.
Exactly. In retrospect now, those decisions were so controversial then, but it's like it was genius because now only X or Grok basically has access to real-time information, and you can just ask whatever you want.
Basically, like one of the main repositories of real-time current event information. It'll be interesting to see how they actually handle, you know, all of the just like crap that people say on Twitter. But and you know that there's going to be entities and people and whoever out there who just like pump a bunch of crap into it just to like try to make it bad or make it say something that it shouldn't be saying. There's going to be so many like people putting screenshots like, look at this, like this proves, you know, Elon is a genocidal maniac or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so think about it now. So think about it this way. All the emphasis on the community notes over the last couple months is now like a community-based label on a single tweet. So it's like a community-based correction on a single label. And now this, like Grok, when you search, they'll have this extra, I don't know, cleaned up data that they can use in reference, which is going to be pretty cool because now there's going to be like a community consensus by the time you look something up with Grok and it tells you. So but I asked it like what's the latest in freight here, like we covered in the newsletter, like it mentioned a spike in Class 8 truck orders. Container freight rose. Yeah, this is crazy.
Can you share your screen? Can you share your screen?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, hold on. I want to see this. Sorry, I got distracted. dude, I got to sign up for this. Will I get access if I sign up, or do I have to wait?
I don't know. I got access. You might have to wait, but let's see here.
Oh.
How do I do this? Share screen. Come on. Yeah, I mean, everybody is going to hear about this at one point or another. But you're hearing about it first here, which is cool. So anyway, this is I just asked it, what's the latest in freight?
Can you share your screen?
I should be.
No. Oh, maybe Paul has to put it up. Shoot.
Oh, you have to put it up, no?
Oh, hold on. Let's see if my screen comes back. Hold on. Yeah, I don't. No, I think Paul as the presenter has to actually like put it onto the main screen. So I think I just screwed us. So we're without sharing screen.
But here I'll send you a screen grab of my monitor.
No, but I can't even share my screen.
You were just sharing your screen.
I know, but I can't put it back up onto the main view here.
Okay.
So we're without screen sharing for the rest of this show.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, for anybody who's I guess now just gonna have to listen and look at our faces. Grok has a fun mode, so you can even ask it what's the latest in freight and fun mode, and I don't know, like the exit sentence will be like, so there you have it, the latest in freight. It's a mixed bag of ups and downs, just like life itself, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Check it out and let us know what you think.
Well, I have been thinking a lot about all these, like Garrett's like load partner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the job as a broker is literally just to communicate, to take in information, process it, and weigh it, and take an action, right? Like take in information, weigh your options, figure out what your next move is, and take in all of the kind of the circumstances, the context of the situation, and make a decision. And that decision could be to, call a driver, say a message, schedule an appointment, whatever. I mean, there's only so many things that you're going to be doing.
Yep.
And if you can have the thing that's important is just like context and understanding and nuance and all that stuff, which is like hard to program into like software. But with LLMs, I mean, it's like just a different animal. So if you can just like tune these things, like it's pretty, I don't know. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't work, but there's
this new quote that's English is the new programming language, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be absolutely insane what they can do. People just like, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I show my family members like what it can do and like what I can ask it and how it responds, and people just like can't comprehend what is going on. This is like completely different than I think even a computer for the most part. But for brokerage, yeah, you're right though. It's input in, evaluate your options, and then make an action. And I think the one thing that we're missing still, we're very close to it, but I've said this many times before. The one thing that we are missing before we see like probably a dramatic change in freight is real-time voice. And real-time voice won't just change it for freight, but real-time voice will change so much for many different industries that are all still maybe like operating on the phone, or as something as simple as like booking an appointment. I mean, the earliest example of this was Google giving a demonstration of a haircut appointment. Like I think it was
3 years
ago, right?
I remember that.
And the lady on the other side like couldn't distinguish whatsoever whether or not this was a computer.
Yeah, I mean, I like as an individual broker or as a carrier, I enjoyed I made every effort to work with the same people over and over again. Like I always, tweet about and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like the drivers who would just text me, hey, I'm at the pickup. Like without me asking, hey, I'm at the pickup. Hey, I need a pickup number. That one worked, that one didn't. And they just respond quickly. Like that experience. And I would ask them like, hey, if you prefer to just text me, great. That works for me. I won't ever call you if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And like if you can mimic that experience for a driver who wants that experience, and they can get more freight that way, or they can get less, useless calls from after hours.
Yeah.
These guys still get so many calls.
Yeah. I don't
crazy.
think it's a matter of if anymore. It's like for sure not a matter of if. It is a matter of like when. And my guess would be that like Garrett with Load Partner, he's definitely on track. Like that's the kind of direction he's going in, which is great. I would give it probably not just Garrett alone, but in general, before we actually see that mimicking being done really well, where we can actually like all use it in freight to our advantage. I don't think it's necessarily going to maybe per se like replace the job, like too many jobs. I mean, it might.
Bro, we are obsessed with replacing. Like augmentation is what matters. You know?
Yeah.
That's augmentation is way more interesting than replacing. Like, how do you enable people to do more? How do you enable people to use these tools to like their advantage?
Yeah. And I always look at it as with these tools that are coming up now, yeah, there might be some scare that there's displacement, but at the end of the day, it basically, what it means, and I've already experienced this myself, what it basically means is that anybody with very, very little resources can go and do what like big players are able to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now there's going to be this, I don't know, it seems to me like there's going to be an even more leveled out playing field across the board. Maybe not even just in freight, but in tech, in like software businesses, and anybody's going to be able to like make their own freaking software like by just speaking, right?
It's have you ever read this book? There's this book called The Sovereign Individual. People talk about it on Twitter all the time. It's kind of like, and it's a certain class of people talk about it on Twitter. They're like it's definitely like a tech bro-y book. It came out in the 90s.
What is it called?
I read it. The Sovereign Individual. I won't try to summarize it, but basically, I guess the thesis is that, like if you look at history, there's been kind of this kind of ebb and flow of the power of an individual versus the power of like a group, and the scale at which, and it's all driven by like the technology of the time. So, a new piece of technology, and he talked about he talks a lot about violence, like weapons of like tools and weapons have drastically affected like the power of like groups versus individuals. So like, if you had a gun, if you had a musket in 1700, and you were fighting against somebody who had an axe, it was like you're probably going to win, right? You were way more effective, and civilizations that had access to gunpowder were just like way more effective and able, like at scale, to just, there was an incentive for them to build more organized armies. There was an incentive for them to kind of, and if you look at how states structured themselves, like it was all based around how they could exert control around the world.
Yeah.
And technology, basically the thesis of the book is that like the internet and the way tech is going now is going to place so much more power in the hands of individuals. Like the scale at which like small groups are going to be able to exercise mass, like look at what we're doing right now. Like, I don't know how many people are listening to this, maybe zero, but like we are on par. Theoretically, there could be 1 million people listening to this, in 20 years ago, you used to have to have a nationwide, system of broadcast infrastructure to be able to send a message to 1 million people. And now,
let's tie this back into freight. Let's tie this back into freight. Let's say every single individual.
But that's the point. That's my point. is that smaller and smaller teams, and that's why I don't necessarily. I think that's my main beef. Not even beef. That's my main thought countering like what Silver said about not building tech and like just using stuff off the shelves. And again, I don't know anything about running a brokerage, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But
yeah,
like that's my one thought. It's like if you can build like very effective technology, yeah, sure, there's always going to be this like pull to try to turn it into a SaaS and sell it. But if you think of like how can it make these big brokerages are like, how can we build stuff to give us an edge?
We know vertical integration, if done properly and if done correctly and if done with the right resources, we know vertical integration always trumps.
Vertical integration is built like big ass companies,
Yeah, yes, it's always the case, but it's extremely difficult, obviously, as we all know, to do that. And most importantly, at least what I realized after my first company didn't work out, was that I don't know, I started looking at life as like a game, and you level up. And at different levels, you can do different things, right? And so, like, the younger you are, the more ambitious you are. Like, you want to go and shoot for the moon, have this grandiose kind of appearance to everybody and stuff like this. But you gotta play the game. You gotta play like the low level bosses first. Get some resources. Use those resources to then like build something bigger. Because if you're gonna jump in like what Silver was trying to do at, for example, Forger. I mean, I made a similar mistake in the past. So I'm just kind of speaking to what he said. But Forger, tried doing both things at the same time, didn't have the resources that his dad did, and it was just a mix of chemicals or kind of a mix of things that it wasn't the right chemistry or right formula, basically trying to be executed, and so if you can order certain things in a certain way where you aggregate your resources and then you kind of, who had this term of resource being Ryan Peterson was like, resource allocation is like what defines like a really good CEO or something like that. And if you can allocate those resources properly, why not do vertical integration, especially if you can figure out like how to make everything more tightly coupled, So I totally agree.
It's interesting. I mean, think people just in this, I mean, people in general are very, what's the right way to say this? People, the knee jerk, especially like take autonomous trucks. There's so much kind of from the driver, from the carrier community that I talk to. There's a lot of resistance to it. There's a lot of like, oh, it's going to put drivers to work, and to some degree, it certainly will. You have to think it will. But also, like, if I were a driver, if I were a fleet owner, I would be like, okay, how does this augment us? Like, not how do I replace all my drivers? Because there's all these situations we know where it's not going to be as good short term, and it's going to take a long time for it to replace a guy who's doing local delivery in, Manhattan or in Chicago. Like, clearly, it's not going to replace them anytime soon, right? Yeah. It's very good at these, interstate, long over the road stuff. And it's like, if I'm a driver, why would I not want to be able to just like turn on autopilot when I have 600 miles on 80 to do today? You know what I mean? Why would you not want that? Why would you like? You can take your hands off the wheel and do other things. Like,
I'll tell you why that wasn't the approach of anybody else. I mean, except that was our approach. I didn't see that from anybody else, and I always boiled it down to like, did any of the other CEOs get their CDL and like drive a truck, do a load, and like experience like what this is like? Once you get on the highway, it's actually kind of relaxing. You like it, and there's like 3.5 million trucks on the road. They are made, manufactured. They're not going anywhere for like 15 years. So like a bunch of people would like to just get on the highway on their way from Chicago to Denver, press the button and cruise, and be told like, hey, your attention needs to be, is needed, take over and stuff like that. And I don't know, it boiled down to me for like, it was super quick that I realized like how honestly far away we are, as much as everybody hypes it up, and including us, mainly part of an investor strategy, I guess you can say, but wrong strategy. It's so far away. it's so far away from like being anywhere near 10% of all, like even 1% of all freight delivery in the US. It is, I mean, at least a decade away. That's my honest opinion. And there's just so much that goes into it that it's when you get behind the wheel, it's just so easy and quick to realize like this is very, very far away. Might be in the
Yeah.
you might see it in southern corridor, like the southern belt, on like 1 or 2 lanes, but they got to drive every single lane that they release, like for close to 1 billion miles in order for them to feel comfortable releasing
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't know. The way when I think about all this stuff, I'll leave the future state, like, science fiction stuff to other people, but I'm more just like interested. And I think it's just a useful frame for people in general to be like, what can I do right this very second? Like,
Yeah.
how can I use this tool? What in my day to day can I use? Can I change about what I'm doing to like take advantage of this? And like for example, Freight Gong, like I made that in 30 minutes. Obviously, I know how to prompt OpenAI to be like, hey, I want to use Next.js with TypeScript and Tailwind CSS to build a digital gong. You know what I mean? Like I
The
could prompt it.
craziest thing about it all is that you, with the freight gong itself, in 30 minutes, you're able to get more people to go to this thing that I have ever, like I or a lot of people that I know have been ever able to kind of garner an audience towards one domain.
Yeah, well, that's the hard part. That the audience is the hard part. I mean, that's like that AI has nothing to do with that. Like it has nothing to do with that. That is like that is the $1 million question: is how do you get people's attention? And AI maybe it can do it. I don't know, but that's yeah, that is nothing.
I think here's how how I'll kind of predict how it's going to be seen, how software is going to be seen in probably 5 years, or maybe even less than that. Literally, writing software is going to be the same as writing an essay. It is how good can you write an essay, and how descriptive can you be, how structured can you be, and how well how well structured are your thoughts. And provided that you do that really well, you will basically be able to build any software, provided that you can write it and describe it as an essay on English. And there really won't be much of a barrier to entry, right? So then it really boils down to audience building, in my opinion. Can you build an audience? Do you have a group of people that value what you have to say, find it entertaining, newsworthy, whatever it is, right? And then you can distribute, through to them. And I think that will be going forward. Software will no longer be a mode by any means, because everybody's going to be able to build it. Like you can just literally write a piece of paper how you want an app to work, and it will be built. It's going to be like really mind-boggling. Oh, and actually, we can go tie this back to the point about like, will it make sense going forward for freight brokerages to build their own software in-house if it's going to be that easy?
Yeah, there's going to be it will be interesting to see how that changes, because it will get easier. I don't, maybe it will be as simple as, if you have a basic understanding, because it's not as simple as drawing, what it needs to be doing. You know what I mean? Like you have to be thoughtful about like how data and like how it's structured and like what, all that stuff. But I mean, that really is not, all that takes is just an understanding of like, okay, it's not rocket science, but it's not as simple as just drawing on a piece of paper, because but maybe it will be one day. Maybe that day is now or soon. I don't know.
Maybe it's not one paper. Maybe it's not one paper. Maybe it's multiple papers, because like when you go about building a software startup, right? Like, I mean, in a lot of cases, right, you'll have like a non-technical founder, and then you have a technical founder, product person, design person, like a bunch of different roles. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like described what are the requirements of that we need to do for our customer. And that kind of trickles down. It's like first we define those. So that's like one paper.
Yeah.
And then we take that paper and we make another paper, which says, okay, based on these requirements, right, this is kind of how it needs to look. This is how it needs to work. This is how it needs to be like implemented, the database, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of make a bunch of these papers. And I think it's, yeah, English is the new programming language. It's just going to be defined that way, and you can build anything you want as long as you can describe it. So
I love it's cool. I don't know, but I'm kind of glad that I learned how to what I got most of my experience quote unquote building or learning how to code and all that stuff before ChatGPT came out.
yeah,
Because it like I still have lots of gaps in my knowledge, but like I'm glad I know how to use the command line. I'm glad I know
Yeah.
how to, the basics of, JavaScript and stuff like that. And I'm glad I understand data structures, and I'm glad I understand, how to write an API and all that stuff. Like, because when you that just teaches you how to prompt it properly, and then you know how to stitch the pieces together, and you know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you can be so effective. Like you said, I mean, distribution and audience is going to be everything long term, and that's probably going to be the moat. I read smart people I read say that, and that sounds like a big brain thing to say. And maybe there's stuff we're missing, but like that to me makes sense. So
I mean, that was like when I was when we got together with Paul or whatever, just over a year ago. That was the decision really that put me over the edge, which was like, you know what, the way that everything is going right now, long term, if I'm going to be committing to this for five years or more or whatever,
yeah,
there's a big opportunity for an audience here, and we can figure something out software wise. That's well, maybe not the easy part, but you know how difficult it is. So
it's easier. It's easier. I mean, you can like spin stuff up so quick. And that's what's exciting to me, because freight, especially with regard to like freight, and you're interfacing with the real world, which necessarily limits your ability to move fast and limits your ability to like affect change quickly.
Yeah.
Versus something that's like pure software. Like, you see like the pace of AI development, the pace of new companies starting, the pace of people launching products. I mean, now you see, if you go on Twitter, you see this stuff, new stuff's popping up every day, which is really, really cool. It's
hard to keep up with, though. I can't keep up. I don't even know how to like keep track of this stuff.
You can't. It's not possible. But the reality is that most of it's going to be crap, and people are going to be like, point to that and be like, oh, look at this crap. It's like, dude, that's not the point. The point isn't that there's going to be a bunch of crap that is useless, and that means that AI or whatever is useless. You're totally missing the point if you think that way. The point is that, like, with everything, the majority of stuff is always crap, and it will always be. And so there's going to be more crap, but there's going to be more good stuff too, because that's just what's going to happen. Like, not everything is going to be great.
How was it when the internet came out, right? Like, everybody could make websites. I mean, there was a ton of garbage websites, right? But then there were certain ones that just simply kept being iterated on, and people gravitate to, and yeah. Well, so
we need to avoid like, I'm not. I know there's this whole kind of like doomer movement of people who want to like pause AI progress and stuff like that. I don't have too educated an opinion on that, but one thing I read the other day that was pretty interesting was, I guess in the 90s, maybe it was in the 80s, sometime in the 80s and the 90s, like encryption, like strong encryption on the internet was like not allowed.
It was so everybody was so against it.
It was like, people were like, it's like a weapon. Like encryption was like used by bad actors to veil their movements. And I'm like imagine the internet now if things like nothing. would be possible without encryption on the internet.
Yeah.
Like
The whole-
none of like that one. If they had not made that decision to make encryption like allowed, like we wouldn't be able to have this conversation right now.
Absolutely.
You know, like these, like LinkedIn wouldn't exist, Twitter wouldn't exist, StreamYard wouldn't exist.
Yeah, payments, big one, right? That's
it's
a crazy one.
It's so that's I don't know. I'm probably missing something, but that's
no.
Right
You're totally hitting the nail there. It's I think just any big transformational like change in technology, there's always pushback, because you don't know what you don't know, and so there's that fear of the unknown, right? And I think at the end of the day, it almost always turns out to be okay, because all the people who are worried about it are always worried about it and making sure that it doesn't get out of control. And I don't know whether to sometimes ask whether or not this time is different, because it's moving so fast. And everybody who lived through the .com era said this is an order of magnitude faster than it was in the .com era.
Well, I would hope so.
But then again, we now have tools in this age that we did not have in the .com era that help us monitor things differently and at a greater speed. So that makes me feel a little bit better, because then again, we might be able to have a handle on, where things are going. But nonetheless, all right, man. This was a good one. Actually, this was a pretty good talk too.
Now Paul leaves and we just kind of nerd out for maybe we just got to kick Paul out halfway through every time.
Yeah, I mean, as long for at least for this show, if we keep tying it back, finding ways to tie it back to freight, then people, hopefully, whoever is listening to this will find it entertaining. But even if you don't, then this was
I don't know if does Paul have to get back on to end this? Like, if we all leave, is it going to end? I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out very quickly. So,
all right, dude. Well,
how about you do another gong ring, and then we can.
Okay. Well, I can't share my screen. I'm gonna ring it right now, though.
Okay.
There we go. I just rang it.
All right. It's been wrong. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week. All right. See you, man.